Hello, everybody. I think we're ready to make a start a little bit late today. I've just seen a message come up saying insert ads on your live stream. I'm not quite sure what I've clicked, but if an ad does pop up, we'll have to deal with it somehow. I thought we'd take a look at markets. This is the normal weekly catch up with markets. So we'll take a look at some of the major announcements due out next week. And then we'll jump on the markets. We saw yesterday all-time highs in the Nasdaq 100. So anybody waiting for the next great bear market needs to be a bit more patient. S&P has, I think, not quite taken out its all-time high yet, but really strong market. So we'll take a look at all of that stuff as well. I think there will be an opportunity this afternoon in these stock markets if we get a bit of a sell-off. Let's see what it looks like. But anyway, let's just get the housekeeping stuff done, then we can start properly. So just a risk warning, first of all. This presentation is only for educational purposes. It does not contain and should not be construed as containing investment advice or an investment recommendation or an offer of or solicitation for a transaction in any financial instrument. David Jones accepts no responsibility for any use that may be made of these comments and for any consequences that result. You should consider whether you understand how spread bets, CFDs, futures, foreign exchange work, and whether you can afford to take the high risk of losing your money. Trading is risky. So let's take a look to next week. Thursday looks like the big day to me, but on Tuesday next week, we do have the Japanese interest rate decision. Then Thursday, European interest rate, US GDP, how well or not is the US economy doing? And then later on Thursday, Japanese inflation. So I think Thursday is going to be the big one for next week. So let's see. But probably not too many surprises, I guess, from that. Let's see how it all turns out next week. At this point, I'd normally talk about my trading course. I'm not going to do it. I'll talk about it next time round. I mentioned I've started a partnership with a new broker. The details, if you want to try it out, is in the description to this video. Go to bit.ly/David Trade. It should take you to the page. It's with Trade Nation. I've started this partnership because there's a couple of guys there I used to work with in the old days at IG. So I've been in trading even longer than I have. It's tight spreads. It's very much, a very simple to use tight spreads platform, which works for me. I don't, when it comes to looking at charts, I use TradingView, as you probably know. So for me, it's just a platform that makes it really easy to trade and has a low cost of trading is something that appeals to me. So I'm going to be doing lots with clients who get introduced from me. We'll do regular webinars on a monthly basis, all that sort of stuff. I did a couple of exclusive webinars last year. So that's it. If you want to try it out, like I said, the link is in the old what's it down below. And it should take you to that page, which looks like that. I'll put the link. Can I put the link in the chat? Hang on a second. Don't know what I'm doing. There's the link in the chat. That should take you to that page. So that's going to be a big thing for me this year. Just trying to offer a better level of service than you get with most brokers in this day and age because they've got so many clients. So I think one of the things I want to do is do regular webinars and various things like that. So I thought I would talk about that today. I mentioned the WhatsApp group. I run this WhatsApp group. It's been running for about a year now. It's a daily update from me, what markets I'm looking at. I went short the DAX this morning, so I put that in the group. It's done okay eventually. It's taken a while. Where's the DAX short? There we go. So I posted this morning at about 10 o'clock, so somewhere in here. So it gone short. It went sideways for a bit. And now it's got a bit of a move on. Let's see how that turns out. So I put a daily update of markets I'm watching. There's quite a lot to watch today. Trades that I'm running. I've got long heating oil, short pound against the dollar, long Swiss yen, and short DAX as of this morning. So I'll talk about those and give updates throughout the day. So pound against the dollar, it's been all right. I went short on, I think it was Wednesday. I went short. So I'm slightly in profit on that. Swiss yen is pretty flat on that, and heating oil was doing okay. Where is it now? Yeah, so I bought that one in here on Monday. So again, I put all of that stuff in the WhatsApp group. And if there's any questions, someone had a question about options today, so I answer those as well. So if you'd like to try the WhatsApp group, you can go to my website. Again, the link for that should be in the description, davidjonestrading.co.uk. You land on that page. If you go to subscribe, you can join the WhatsApp group if you want to. If you click on there, and if you use the code YouTube, you get 20% off the first month. So it's only a month by month thing. You don't need to sign up for a year, but try it and see. And if you go to the website anyway, I do send out a free newsletter. I started sending it again last week. I'm going to commit to sending this out every week. I was a little bit hit and miss last year, but I've done it in an easier format. So again, that's what am I trading, what's interesting markets in the week ahead, and a trading tip. So that's free of charge. If you go to the website, you can put your details in there and get the weekly newsletter. So that's it. So all of this stuff should be in the description anyway. So there we go. And now I've got to sneeze. There's a quick snapshot of what the WhatsApp group looks like. Okay. No, not going to sneeze. So to find out more, go to the website, davidjonestrading.co.uk. Right, let's take a look at it. Been a bit of a funny week for me. It's been okay, an okay week. There've been some big moves. I did trade the S&P yesterday. I did actually buy it yesterday. I've dipped my toe back into day trading. I'm quite critical of day trading, but that applies to everyone else, not to me. So I did a little bit of day trading this week. I ended up buying the S&P yesterday, and I got in here. I got in here actually because it pushed back to the highs of the day before. So I managed to buy it, and it did because it moved so well. I just got taken out in the last 20 minutes or so. So that worked well. I'll be looking to buy back in again today. We'll see what happens with that. So I caught a bit of that move. Otherwise, it's just my normal medium-term trades. I'm doing more with equities again. I've got some equities trades running at the moment. We can perhaps talk about those if you want to. If there's any markets you want looking at, just put them in the chat. But let's take a look at the big picture view for markets. And this is where we are. This is the S&P. We're up. We're within. How high has it got today? It's got as high as 48.10 today. So within 10 points of the all-time high for the S&P. It's a market that still looks bullish to me. Let's tidy things up and take that off. So I'd still be a buyer of the dip. I think it'd be interesting today. You know, we're seeing it getting slammed a little bit as markets open. Yesterday's lows were about 45 points lower than where we are now. So just less than 1% below where we are now. I'd be interested to see what happens if it gets knocked down there. NASDAQ, fresh all-time highs yesterday. If we flip that over to the dailies, there we go. There's the move in the NASDAQ. So it did break out anyway, late December. Sold off and bang, here we are again. Fresh all-time highs. So what can you say? These are bullish markets, aren't they? I think they are anyway, because they're going up. You know, by definition, if a market's at all-time highs, it's buying that's pushed it up there, isn't it? So let's see what happens, but still bullish to me. I thought the Russell 2000 was interesting. I mentioned that today in the WhatsApp group. I don't look at this very often, but I do look at it. You know, the Russell 2000, the smaller cap US stock market index. You know, we had from August 22 to December 23. So what's that? 16, 17 months. It's just bang, 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 sideways range. It did break out towards the end of 2023, but it's pulled all the way back in again. And I just wondered if we did see continued strength in its bigger brothers, the S&P and the NASDAQ, do we see the smaller cap start to follow suit again? So that could be an interesting market to watch next week, I think. So that's it. So US markets still strong. I wonder if there'll be a little bit of a buying opportunity this afternoon. Let's see how it goes. Blah, blah, blah. That's it. DAX. So I'm short the DAX, but you know, from a medium term point of view, absolutely the trend for the DAX is still up. You know, the DAX is up, hit all-time highs in December. It's just been sliding back a bit since then. Where's that connecting? Disconnecting. It's been sliding back a bit since then. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I'd buy the dip, but it's still dipping at the moment, isn't it? If I flip it over to the hourlies, you know, the reason for my trade today, I did the trade about 10, 11 o'clock today. Yeah, the trend, if we pick up on these highs from the 2nd of Jan, the Trend all this month has been down, 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 down. On Wednesday, it moved to a new low for the trend, down at 16,340. It rallied to 300 points. I thought it was a fair enough place to go short. That was my thinking behind the trade that I did this morning. 200-point stop loss on it. The thing moved 300 points in the last couple of days. Need to give it some wiggle room. I went short, so I must be up quite a bit on that. I'm up about, 100 points or so far on that one. Let's see how that one turns out. So that's the DAX. So in the hourly time frame, still weak. But in the daily time frame, I would buy the dip. I think it's interesting if it goes back to the Wednesday low. That's maybe an area to watch next week, down at 16,340. Let's see what happens with that. FTSE 100. I was thinking about buying this yesterday because I think it could still be a buy. I mean, the FTSE, as usual, doing its own thing, the FTSE 100, but has been, in retreat for most of the year. It went from 7760 down to 7400. This 7400 though had been a bit of a level on the way up, and it is oversold on the RSI for those of you who are fans of the old squiggles. So that's another market perhaps for next week. Buy the dip with a stop the other side for me of 73.80. So that might be an interesting market for next week if you thought the sell-off in the FTSE had been overdone and we're going to rally back up to 7,700. So I think that's another interesting one for next week. Japan, what's that done? I mean, that has broken out. We had these, and did we look at this last week? I think we must have done. We had these old highs at 34,000 that had stopped the Nikkei since June of 23. Bang, breaks through. I was hoping we're going to get a deeper sell-off and I was going to buy the dip. It turned around pretty quick yesterday. That's one to watch next week. But again, for me, that is a buy the dip market, the old Nikkei. So yeah, that looks pretty bullish as well. And then this one doesn't. China. Someone mentioned this in the WhatsApp group this week. The China A50. I mean, I was quite interested in this sort of here, December, because we pushed back to the lows from November 2022. I was wondering if it was going to hold, and bang, it's gone sailing through. So, lots of world stock markets doing really well. China stock market, China A50, is back to where it was 5 years ago. So, and at the moment, that trend shows no signs of stopping. So I thought that was quite interesting, the China A50. But for me, S&P, when I finish this afternoon, I'll have a look and think about being a buyer, depending on what it's doing. NASDAQ, all-time highs. Can't argue with the trend. Russell, will it turn itself around next week? DAX, I'm short. I'm happy to stay short. But on the dailies, I'd still buy the dip because it's broken out. It's just got to stop dipping. And the FTSE, I wonder if that level ends up being important next week, 73.80. So quite a bit, just in stocks, there's a fair bit to watch. Dollar index. I mean, it's been a bit messy, I think, on the dailies over the last 12 months. I suppose, there's an argument for being long or short, as there often is in all sorts of markets. It's never clear cut, I don't think. And if you think it is clear cut, you probably haven't been doing it long enough. But, okay, we had the downtrend in place. It's broken out that downtrend, but it hasn't really taken out the major high before that. So for me, on the dailies, I would still be perhaps a little bit nervous it was going to run out of steam. So I think there's an argument for going short with a stop, 100-point stop on the dailies, and seeing if the market is going to drop back towards 100.5. That's a 300-point move. So that's an interesting trade. 100-point risk on the upside, 300-point move on the downsides. That's an interesting trade. So there's one to watch for next week. On the hourlies, the trend is still up, I think, just about. It's just stalled a bit over the last few days. So I think that's another interesting market to watch next week. There's the argument for being the buyer is it's been in an uptrend for all this year so far on the hourly chart. So absolutely there's the argument for buying the dips. There was a nice little dip yesterday. It's not moved that much since then. But on the dailies, you could say it hasn't taken out the big resistance at 104.25. So maybe it'll run out of steam again. And it is heading towards overbought on the RSI for those people who like the squiggles. So let's see. But it was very overbought on the way up here in August and just carried on going up. Let's see. But I think that's an interesting market to watch. There's not a lot else that's interesting for me in currencies at the moment. But I mean, dollar yen, I missed this trade. That was a good trade. Would have been a good trade. Textbook. Come back to the trend line late December, and here we are, 800 points higher. So I missed a bit of a trick there on dollar yen. Euro against the dollar. I mean, euro, the trend is still up. The big trend is still up on the euro. But because of this dollar strength recently, it has given up some gains. Pound against the dollar. I mean, it's a bit all over the place, pound against the dollar. Like I say, I'm short. I'm happy to stay short for now. 126. You can see going back to 14th of December, there's been big support. So let's see. Let's see what happens with that. But for now, I'm happy to stick with my short. Is trying to edge into profit. Let's see what happens. And everything else, I thought, what else did I think was interesting this week? I think Aussie dollar against the US dollar is interesting. There we go. So we had an uptrend since October. Bang, bang, bang. And the market's dropped, 300 points. And we're back to what had been a big level. Let's call it 6,500. So I think, that's maybe an interesting market for next week. Aussie dollar, US dollar. If you think the 6,500 level is going to hold, let's see. Let's see what happens. So that's it. That's the currency. So I'm still a bit flip-floppy on the dollar at the moment, but I am short pound against the dollar, and I'm long Swiss yen. So I'm long that one, which hasn't done much, to be honest, but I'm long, because the trend is up, obviously. That's why I'm long. So, yeah, let's see. Oil. I think oil is another one. It's interesting and not interesting at the same time. We've seen a good run over the last couple of days. We've seen this market $3 higher, so we've seen a 5% move in oil. But if you look at the last month or so, it's all pretty sideways, isn't it? I think it's interesting up here because if we flip back to the daily chart, that trend is still down. So for me, that trend from September last year is still down. $76 was an important level. Are we going to see oil start to run out of steam next week? I don't know. But yeah, I'd probably at the moment be inclined to perhaps be a seller, but it's still a bit too strong. There's the trend on the hourlies, and there's that 76 level. So I think it's interesting. Let's see what happens next week. If it cracks 76, it does start to look as if the trend has changed. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Heating oil, I mentioned I'm in that trade. I think that's an interesting market. It's if you look on the dailies, I think my thinking on this was, has the downtrend ended from there? There you go. So this is on the dailies. So a downtrend in heating oil from September. Bang, 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 bang. Is it trying to stage a recovery? I thought so. I'm in the trade. It's done all right so far. Let's see. Let's see what happens on that. So for me, that looks more bullish than crude oil. And natural gas, which is, again, natural gas. It is an evil market, natural gas, isn't it? Let's tidy things up. I did a video on natural gas this week. It always does, at the moment anyway, it just seems to do the opposite of what it should do. Not that it should do anything, but natural gas, we'd had this great trend from whenever that is, December. All right, lovely trend, plod, has a little run higher from January. I mean, big run from 260 to 340. It's a big move. It's a 30% move, isn't it? And it was coming back down. And I thought, I wonder if we're going to see this trend line hold. Because, of course, that's the idea of trends, isn't it? So I did the video earlier this week thinking, I wonder if this level holds. And then it all looks good. Looks like it is holding. Bang, bang, bang. Oh, this looks quite interesting. Oh, natural gas is holding on the trend. And, of course, what's it done? Ba-bang. It absolutely just sucks them in and spits them out. So it's a massive slide now since the 14th, which is, okay, this week, we've gone from 340 to 260. So the market's lost 20%. We've seen the price of natural gas drop by 20% this week. Crazy volatile market. People still love it. There are definitely, I think, easier markets to trade. But there we are. So I wonder, for me, the level I'm watching now are these old lows from back here before it sort of went ballistic. So the lows for the year on my chart, on the TradingView charts, come in around 255, 258, something like that. Let's see what happens. Is it any clearer on the dailies? not really, but it's low. This low is those lows there. So again, I mean, it is a nutcase market, natural gas, isn't it? But that's where we are. So I would be expecting a bounce, but it's a market that's still weak, so I wouldn't buy it today because the market is still weak. So yeah, but never a dull moment in the old natural gas. Let's have a look at gold. I think this has been a little bit all over the place as well, hasn't it? I don't really know what to make of that really. Gold is trading at the moment where it was at the end of November. So we've had a lot of noise, not much direction, have we? So I don't know. What would you do? We had this level, $2,015, that had held the price up since mid-December. The market sells off and then has recovered. It's just really choppy, I think, gold. So I don't have anything too exciting to say about that one at the moment. Arguably the trend is up. We had that funny move, didn't we? Beginning of December to fresh all-time highs briefly. So the trend on gold is up. Let's see. I don't have a really strong view on that. Same with silver, to be honest. Silver, if you wanted to buy it, we've got support down here at 22.50, wherever it is. But silver is trading where it was 6-7 months ago. So again, lots of noise, not so much direction. So it's not really a market that appeals to me because it just hasn't really gone anywhere. We've had, like I say, a lot of flipping around, but nothing really that exciting. Copper's interesting. I mentioned that in the WhatsApp group the last couple of days. If you believed the recovery in copper was still going, it has fallen out of the uptrend, but it's held above these December lows around about 368. So I think that's maybe an interesting market to watch. And Bitcoin. It's interesting, the move since the ETF. We talked about this before, I think. The whole buy the rumor, sell the news. It's exactly what we've seen in Bitcoin. So the ETF gets approved. I'm sure plenty of the hodlers thought, here we go, here comes 100k. And what's it done? It's dropped about 20%. So interesting market down here though. With this 40k level, near enough, has been an important one over the last month. Let's see what happens. Let's see if 40k holds on Bitcoin. If it doesn't, there's a lot of fresh air, I think, down to the mid-30s. So, the big trend is still up on Bitcoin. So from a more medium to longer term point of view, I would be a buyer of the dip, but it's still dipping at the moment. So let's see what happens. And then finally, cocoa. Look at cocoa. I mentioned this again in the WhatsApp group. Just an incredible year last year, cocoa, and here it goes again. So far, at least, anyway. We saw cocoa September 22. Cocoa was 2,200. It's doubled since September 22. Great trend. Pulls back, breaks out, off it goes. Pulls back, breaks out, off it goes. And here we go. So I thought that was just worthy of a mention because it's been such a great trend, the cocoa train. So there we go. So what's interesting? Well, for me, stock markets, because we have had these big moves in US markets. Let's see how they turn out. That for me is probably the markets to watch still next week. Currencies, I'm a bit on the fence about. Natural gas, always entertaining because it's crazy. Do the lows for the year hold? So a few bits and pieces to watch in there, but it has felt like it has been a bit of a funny month, a bit of a scrappy month for me. I've got trades like pound against the dollar that I've been in all week and have just flip flopped around. The Swiss yen trade. I think I've been in since here Monday, so that's all week and it's flip flopped around, and it's only really heating oil and the DAX trade today that have actually moved. So I think it's been a bit of a funny week, bit of a boring week, to be honest. But S&P and Nasdaq, I think, are interesting ones, as is the Russell 2000, to see if this momentum in the US stocks drags things higher, in the bigger US stocks drags things higher. What we'll do now is take a look at the stuff you are looking at. But like I say, to find out more about the WhatsApp group, the trading course, sign up for the newsletter, which is free. If you go to davidjonestrading.co.uk to see the broker I'm working with, if you want to open an account and try them, just go to bit.ly David Trade. It's Trade Nation I'm working with. If you join through that link, then I know you're one of my introduced clients, so you get access to all the stuff I'm going to be doing for those. But all the details are in the description to this video. Right, let's have a look at some of the stuff you want looking at. And so let me have a quick look at my US stocks, see what's moving. So I did say I was going to trade stocks more this year. So I've got a few trades open at the moment. It looks like nothing has had that big a move, to be honest. The best performer so far have been Boston Scientific. So I've been in that, I think since the beginning of this month. That's done okay. I'm short First Energy, and that's doing okay. That's my only short, I think, at the moment. And everything else just looks a little bit boring, doesn't it? AIG, I think that was one of the first ones I did in December. Pushed up, sold off, it's pushed back up again. But they're all basic, basic simple trend following stuff. And I'm looking to hold some of these, well, for as long as they carry on going up. Let's see how it goes. Right, let's have a look at some of the stuff you were looking at. Can we take a look at ARKW? Is that one of the ARK? Okay, the famous Miss Cathy Wood. Cathy Woods, is it? I've not heard her in the news much. Let's see, how is that doing? Next generation internet ETF. What do we think? Oh, that is the old ARK, isn't it? Is it the old ARK? Yeah, it is, isn't it? So it's the one, it was the darling of investors after the pandemic, or during COVID, I should say. It went from $42 to $190, and then all the way back to wherever, 38. What do you think? I mean, I'd buy it. The trend is up, isn't it? It's just a question, where would you buy it? I don't know. I'd probably wait to see if there's a bit more weakness before being a buyer. So, but the trend is absolutely up on that, isn't it? But I'd rather, if it dropped down to the low 60s, it looks interesting, and I would put a stop underneath 50-ish. Yeah, but I'd rather sort of wait, I think, at the moment, because it does, it has some big swings. And this swing here from May, from 45 up to 68, it's 50% swing, isn't it? And what was this size from 50 to 50% plus again swing? So I'd be happy to wait and see if it retraces a bit. But yeah, I would be buy the dips on that one. ARK, Next Generation Internet. Nike NKE, is that Nike? Yeah, Nike, whatever they're called. It just looks a bit boring to me. It's a bit sideways, isn't it? To me. So, we've seen it. The last, when does this go back to? August 22. So the last 18 months or so. 128 is the top of the range. 84 is the bottom of the range. And it's in the middle, isn't it? So what would you do? Me, I would do nothing at the moment, because it's just slap bang in the middle of the range. So if I had to do anything, I'd probably go short because it's still weak. I think it's interesting, if it gets down toward 90, it looks interesting again, doesn't it? This sort of area to be a buyer, but it is just pretty much sideways, isn't it? The old Nike. So nothing too exciting there. TXN, Texas Instruments. It's a bit sideways again, isn't it? I would go short. Would I go short? It's an earnings surprise, isn't it? The earnings surprise? Yeah, what's happened? Oh no, earnings due out next week. So it did something on raise to buy. They've been upgraded. I mean, overall, it's pretty sideways again, isn't it? So for me, it does not appeal because, look at the markets we're in. We've got the Nasdaq hitting all-time highs. There are strong trending shares out there. This isn't one of them for me. So yeah, not too much interest in that one. Like I said, if I had to do anything, I'd probably go short. But again, it's sort of not quite in the middle of the range, is it? But yeah, not too exciting. I don't think that one for me. S&P and Nasdaq weekly RSIs are divergent. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at that. Nasdaq. Let's have a look. So flick it to a weekly chart. Oh, that's the S&P. Yeah, it's only a little bit of divergence, isn't it, on the S&P anyway? What's it look like on the Nasdaq? Yeah, that's better, isn't it, on the Nasdaq? Yeah, but for me, you know, if you've watched any of these things, price trumps everything. And at the moment, we do still have strong markets. But yeah, I can see what you mean there. S&P makes, NASDAQ makes a high, sells off, goes higher. RSI makes a lower high. So bearish divergence. NVO, Novo Nordisk. I would be a buyer. What a great trend that. We must have looked at that before because it's got a trend line on it. So a great trend since September 22. If I was a buyer today, what would I do? If I was a buyer today at 107, I would probably put a stop the other side of 100. Maybe a more conservative stop is down at 94. But, you know, the trend is up on that, isn't it? So for me, I would like to be a buyer. It's just, do you wait for a dip or do you just say, sod it, I'm just going to buy it now? Don't know. But yeah, nice trend. And ARES, ARES Management Corporation. What do they do? Investment managers. I would be a buyer again. And as usual, the only question for me is where does the thing go? The stop go. I would have it probably at 105, maybe a bit further away. And again, do you just wait for a deeper pullback or just say, do you know what? I'm just going to jump in and buy it. I don't know. Completely up to you. So, but yeah, some good trenders, I think, there in those two. What else have we got? Natural gas is 232 to 232.1 to bay to 2 what? For me on natural gas, the important level for me are the lows for the year, down at 255. So at the moment, that's all I care about on natural gas. Does it hold here at the lows for the year? Let's see. And if they go, perhaps the risk is we go all the way back to 220 from mid-December. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Gold choppy. Yeah, gold is just... It is just choppy, isn't it? I mean, it's just, you know... It's just a bit of a mess it's been, hasn't it, over the past 7 or 8 weeks, gold. So I don't really know with that one. Natural gas has hurt me so much over the last couple of years. Never again. It's absolutely crazy. Smaller wins more often is less anxiety inducing. It is an interesting one, natural gas. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, it never even, I don't remember it having that much interest amongst retail traders, right? But now, or in recent years, it has been. And I think it is all because of the volatility. You know, if I show you the videos I do, so the videos on my YouTube channel, so natural gas 3 days ago, nearly 2,000 views. NASDAQ, much more interesting market, I think, 9 days ago, 700 views. And the one, natural gas, 2,500 from 2 months ago. And it was the most popular video I did last year. I can't remember how many views it got, but natural gas got, I think, more than 10,000 views on video last year. I was really surprised. There you go, 12,000 views, 17,000 views, natural gas. People love natural gas. And I think it's it's an interesting market, but it is crazy volatile. And I'd much rather trade the NASDAQ or the S&P that's got a clear trend than trade natural gas, which I think somebody last year christened the Widowmaker, which I can completely believe, because it's when the market's going up, lots of people are trying to go short and sell it, and the market's going down, lots of people trying to go along and buy it, and it's a nuts market. This is a major commodity that in August 22 was $10, but lost 80% of its value over the next 8 months. Can you imagine oil losing 80% of its value? Of course it could happen, but it would be like oil going down to about $15 a barrel from where it is now. So yeah, it is. I feel your pain, I think, on natural gas, because it is a bit of a crazy old market. And then I think that's it, isn't it? If there are no more questions, we'll wrap things up there, I think, if we're all done. So like I say, I'm going to have a look. I've still got perhaps some trades this afternoon. I quite like the idea of buying a pullback in the S&P this afternoon. Let's have a look at that. I'll do at least one share trade this afternoon, and I'll put it, as usual, I'll put it in the WhatsApp group a bit later on when I've done that. So a big thing for me is US stocks this year, and what I'm trying to do is at least a trade a day on a US stock, and I've explained it more in the WhatsApp group, but just try and run a mix of long and shorts for US stocks from a more medium term point of view. At the moment, we're 18 days into the month, and I've got into the year, and I've got 12 trades open at the moment. Like I said, the best performer, Boston Scientific. I'm just looking at the numbers now. There's nothing else that really stands out. And I update the WhatsApp group when I do it. Let's see. My short on the DAX is still doing okay. That's doing all right. Pound against the dollar still doing nothing. That's it. So we'll wrap things up there. So don't forget to find out more. Sign up for the newsletter, which I will write tomorrow and send out over the weekend with a little trading tip in there. Go to the website. That's free of charge. If you want this sort of content, but every day via the WhatsApp group and a lot more, you can go to the website and use the code YouTube to sign up for the WhatsApp group and have a look at the broker that I'm going to be doing more with this year, which is TradingView. And if you join via my link, which is in the description, Trade Nation, sorry, not TradingView, it's in the description. There'll be a load of stuff I'll be doing with those. But that's it really. So a bit of a quiet month so far. The US equities have been interesting. Strong stock markets, strong US stock markets. We'll do it all as usual in a week's time and see where we are then. But for now, we'll wrap things up there. So have a good weekend. Good luck with your trading, and see you all next week.